Exactly what happened on board the Arctic Sea is still a mystery, but there are plenty of conspiracy theorists seizing the opportunity to speculate. Live now to Washington, D.C. and Alyona Minkowski, who can tell us more. Alyona.
Yeah, well, now that the Arctic Sea has been found, obviously the fears of the crew and the cargo's safety have pretty much subsided. But the questions of what really happened are still there. And while the crew is being questioned by Navy officials and the world waits for answers, the speculations are beginning to run wild. There's even talk that there may have been nuclear materials on this ship and that they might have something to do with this mystery. But here to discuss it more with me is RT's contributor Wayne Madsen. Wayne, thanks for being with us today. So first, I want to get your opinion. What do you really think is going on?
Well, we know that after this vessel left Pietarsaari, Finland, with its cargo of timber for Algeria, it was boarded in Swedish waters between the islands of Åland and Gotland by masked men who claimed they were drug police. Well, if they were police, why be masked? They held the crew hostage for a while, asked some, what we're told, some very detailed probing questions, and then they left all of a sudden. We have this jurisdictional battle now between the Finnish police, the Swedish police, and we have NATO getting involved. And NATO, I think it's important if they're trying to suggest that there was nuclear material on board. This isn't the coast of Somalia. This is the Baltic Sea. Much different, but we have to realize that there are three nations in the Baltic who are not members of NATO, and the new NATO Secretary General, Anders Fogh Rasmussen from Denmark, a big neoconservative, is really pushing for eastward expansion of NATO, and I'm sure he would like to bring Finland and Sweden into the organization. And maybe this is a way to embarrass these two nations because we're being told that they dropped the ball.
I see, but if there really were nuclear materials on board, how do you think that would have changed the game? Is that maybe lead to some motivation for the people to have boarded this ship?
It may have. We don't know who this crew was. The Swedes are being very careful and saying they had nothing to do with it, and it wouldn't be their procedure to send masked police on board a vessel in their waters. I think we also know from the head of the Finnish nuclear agency that there were some initial reports of radiation being detected before the ship left Pietarsaari, but he says that these guys were incorrect. There was no nuclear material on board. So we have a lot of questions now, and I think we have to also look at the involvement of NATO and what ulterior motives NATO could have, especially under Mr. Rasmussen's stewardship.
Now, there is even some speculation that perhaps Al-Qaeda might have something to do with this. What are your thoughts? Well,
I would not be surprised to see that coming from NATO under Rasmussen. It's also interesting that in September 1995, a Cypriot flagship called the Anna Sierra was hijacked by pirates off of Thailand. Later, it was found in a Chinese port. It had been reflagged under the Honduras flag, and the name had been changed to the Arctic Sea. Not the same ship. Anna Sierra was 12,934 deadweight tons, whereas the Maltese flag Russian crew Arctic Sierra was 4,706 deadweight tons. So it's not the same ship, but they changed it to the same name back in '95.
But why the same name? Do you think this is just coincidence, or that they might be somehow related to it?
It could be there was a database confusion, that this reflagged ship was still in some sort of database. It clued somebody in to say, hey, we better stop that ship. It had been hijacked before, but after it was found, the name was changed back to its original name, Anna Sierra, not the same ship. So it could be a major database malfunction, or it could have been something else. We just don't know at this point in time.
And is there any information on the background of the crew of the ship, if perhaps they may have been involved themselves?
Well, we know that the Russian crew, this ship was undergoing repairs in Kaliningrad before it went to Finland to pick up its cargo of timber. Kaliningrad, of course, is an enclave that has engendered a lot of hostility from NATO because it's a major Russian base on the Baltic. Makes a lot of countries there, especially Poland and Lithuania, uncomfortable. So whether the fact the ship was in Kaliningrad beforehand sand played any role. Again, we're going to have to wait and see. But we've heard nothing about the crew being a suspect, because they would have been vetted through the Finnish time-chartered company that chartered this vessel.
Thank you. Well, we will wait for answers, and the speculations will also continue. But for now, back to you in Moscow, Alice.
All right. Many thanks to you, Alyona, and your guests for those insights.